Hi, Ryan Murphy here from Guitar Lessons with Ryan, and today we have an awesome song by Fountains of Wayne, so let's zoom on in for a close-up and get started. Alright, so we're going to start with the chords for the song. Now if you're proficient at reading chord charts, you can skip on ahead where I go over the song structure, but otherwise let's start on the G major chord. This one's going to be second finger, third fret of the 6th string, first finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, open on the 4th, open on the 3rd, third finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and 4th finger, 3rd fret on the 1st string. Now the reason I use the 4-finger G chord is it's typically a lot easier to switch to the D major. Alright, you could also use the 3-finger G chord by simply removing the 4th finger, dropping the 3rd finger down one string. Alright, next we're going to move on to the C chord. This one's going to be 3rd finger, 3rd fret of the 5th string, 2nd finger, 2nd fret of the 4th string, open on the 3rd, 1st finger, 1st fret on the 2nd string, and open on the 1st. Next is the D major chord. This is going to be open on the 4th, 1st finger, 2nd fret of the 3rd string, 3rd finger, 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the 1st string, strum from the 4th string down. Next chord is going to be the E minor chord. It's going to be open on the 6th string, 1st finger, 2nd fret of the 5th string, 2nd finger, 2nd fret on the 4th string, and the rest of the strings are going to be open. Alright, and the final chord is the B minor chord. This is the only bar chord for this song. 1st finger barring across the 2nd fret from the 5th string to the 1st string. And then we have the 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the 4th string. We have the 4th finger on the 4th fret of the 3rd string, 2nd finger, 3rd fret on the 2nd string, and strum from the 5th string down. Now you can simplify this chord by, instead of doing the bar, take the 1st finger and put it down on the 2nd fret on the 1st string, and strum just from the 4th string down. Alright, now we're going to be moving on to the strumming pattern. Now, it's a little tricky because we're going to be using muted strums, so if you're unfamiliar with that, essentially it means that at the very same instant that you strum, you're going to be muting the strings with the right hand, the side of the palm, like so. And I put the side of the palm not right up against the bridge, because otherwise it just sounds like a palm mute, but a little farther in, and then it'll sound like so. Okay, so for context, it's going to sound like this. I'll just play the introduction very slowly, and you can hear where the muted strums are. They sound like so. Here we go. Okay, so when practicing this, it might make sense to not play the chords at all, just strum opens. So we have a downstroke, muted strum, downstroke on beat 2. On the end of 2, we do an upstroke, downstroke on beat 3, muted strum on beat 4, and then upstroke on the end of 4. So the first measure is going to sound like this. And play it one more time. Alright, and the next measure is going to be, basically you're going to mute the strings on beats 1 and 2, and you're going to play the upbeats, or the upstrokes, on the and of 1 and the and of 2, like so. So 1, and 2, and 3, 4, and. So it'll be 1, upstroke, 2, upstroke, 3, so we have a downstroke, and then 4, and, so that's a down, up. So the second measure sounds like this. 1, and 2, and 3, 4, and. So let me play the entire thing just with the open strings again. So we have 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, 4, and. Okay, so let me just play it with the chords, and you can follow along. So we start with the G chord. We have that downstroke, muted strum, and then we're going to switch to the C chord. On the and of 2, do the upstroke, and then a downstroke, and then another mute, and then we're going to go back to the G on the and of 4, upstroke, and then we're going to rest there on the and of 1. We're going to play the G again, and then we're going to switch to the D chord on the and of 2, upstroke, down, and then another downstroke. And then on the and of 4 for that second bar, we're going to start doing the switch back to the G. All right, I should note on the and of 4, when you switch to the G, you don't have to take all the fingers off. What I usually do is kind of already switch to the G with my pinky, because that's where the upstroke's going to be. So it'll sound like this from the D to the G. So we have I'll start on beat 3. So we have down, down, and then we switch like that, downstroke. Notice that I kind of anticipated the G chord on the and of 4. So let me play those 2 bars so you can hear what that sounds like with the switch. And 1. Notice I did that. Now we're going to move on to the song structure, where we take the strumming pattern and the chords that we learned and put it all together and go through all the different parts of the song. Now you can go get the song sheet PDF that I created for this by heading over to my Patreon, link in the description below. Okay, so the introduction starts on the G chord, and we're using the strum pattern like so. We have the G, C, G, G, D, switch, G, C, G, D. And we're just going to play that part twice before we go to the verse. All right, so we're going to move on to the verse part. Now, you can use the strumming pattern that we did for the introduction. Typically, when I play it, I tend to just do the best I can with the syncopated parts while I'm singing. For this right now, we're just going to simplify it a little bit as we're going through it. So we're going to start on the G major chord. This is going to be the G, working on C for a G, little D, with a clip on top and a rung on 10. And now here we're going to go to an E minor. He's got me E minor around the office like a dog around the track. But when I get back home, you're always there to rub my back. So it's basically just going to be E minor, C, D, G for those 2 lines. Okay, so let's go over the verse one more time. So we have a G, C, G, we go to an E minor, C, D, G, E minor, C, D, G. And now we stay on the G for the chorus part. Okay, now before we move on, don't forget to leave a comment below and let me know if there's any songs that you would like me to cover in a future lesson. Okay, so the chorus part, we stay on that G chord and we go G, C, D, C, E minor, C, D, G, G, C, D, C, E minor, C, D, G, E minor, C, D, G. Alright, so let me play the chorus for you. Hey Julie, look what they're doing to me, trying to trip me up, trying to wear me down. Julie, I swear it's so hard to bear it, and I never make it through without you around. No, I never make it through without you around. Alright, so there's this part between the first chorus and the second verse, and it's basically going to be a G, C, G, D, G, C, D, G. And the D to a G is kind of a turnaround that brings us back to the next verse. Alright, so for verse 2, we're going to go a little quicker now that we've already covered the verses and choruses. Alright, so we're going to have a G, and it's going to sound like this. I was on the phone making pointless calls. I got a desk full of papers that mean nothing at all. Sometimes I catch myself staring into space, counting down the hours till I get to see your face. Now we're moving on to the next chorus part.
Hey, Julie, look what they're doing to me, trying to trip me up, trying to wear me down. Julie, I swear it's so hard to bear it, and I never make it through without you around. No, I never make it through without you around.
All right, now the bridge part, this has the B minor chord that we covered. Now for the strumming pattern, what you can do is hold them out for 4 beats each. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. When we get to the D chord, do something like that for the D chord, and then we go back to the E minor chord, B minor chord, C, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let me play the bridge part. How did it come to be that you and I must be far away from each other every day? I must have spent my time on my mind with facts and figures that never add up anyway. They never add up anyway. Now we have the interlude part. This is where there's a little solo going on. Very simple. From the G, C, G, D. So it'll be like so. G, C, G, D, G, C, G, D. And again. Okay, now we're on the final verse, and we're going to have basically the exact same strumming pattern, just a little lighter with the strumming for this part.
Looking all day for a mean little guy with a bad toupee and a soup same tie. He's got me running around the office like a gerbil on a wheel. He can tell me what to do, but he can't tell me what to feel.
Now we're on the final chorus. Now this is identical to the previous choruses. However, the final line is repeated one more time, like so.
Hey, Julie, look what they're doing to me, trying to trip me up, trying to wear me down. Julie, I swear it's so hard to bear it, and I never make it through without you around. No, I never make it through without you around.
One more time.
Never make it through without you around.
And we take that final G chord, strum it once, and hold it out. Alright, now that's all there is to it for this song, and don't forget to head over to my Patreon where you'll have access to not only the song sheet PDF for this song, but all the other songs that I teach on YouTube that you can print out and use to practice with at home. Not only that, you'll also have the ability to vote on which songs I teach next. Alright, thank you so much for stopping by, have fun, and I'll see you next time.